Student housing is such a unique industry. The more unique an industry is, the more important it is for that industry to have a resource and a platform to share ideas and data, to determine best practices, and a platform to simply promote networking among the professionals in that industry. That's what we are setting out to provide with Student Housing Insight. But what's even more unique about the student housing industry is how unique those professionals are. They want to make a positive impact on the students and the university communities they serve. They understand they have an opportunity to touch the future. They come to work every day looking for ways to make that future bright. If you're one of those people, come be a part of Student Housing Insight. Well, welcome everyone. If you're not familiar with Student Housing Insight or myself, I am Wesley Dees, CEO of Student Housing Insight, and we're bringing this special live stream covering a preview of the upcoming OpTech conference. It's coming up in Vegas next week, and trying to give a little bit of a student housing perspective on it. This is a very popular conference when it comes to student housing operators, and so we wanted to spend a little bit of time giving everybody a little bit of a preview of what to expect for those student housing professionals that are attending, both on the operator side as well as the suppliers and the vendors that supply our space as well. So we're going to jump into that. Again, if you don't know anything about Student Housing Insight, if you're catching this video because it showed up in your feed or something, we are a platform for bringing together student housing professionals to network, share ideas and data. You can find out more about us at studenthousinginsight.com. So let's talk a little bit about or meet our panel for today that's going to be giving us this preview. Let me bring them to the stage. Hey guys.
Hey Wes.
Well, I appreciate all of you taking some time. I know everybody is super crazy this week. Whitney, you just came back from Price Company's retreat last week that was in DC. Erica, I know you just landed in Florida for Article's marketing and leasing retreat. Devin, you're trying to stay warm in Utah. So thank you guys for taking out some time today to talk with everybody and give them a little bit of insight on what to expect next week. I know I did a little bit of an intro there, but for those that may not know the names and faces on this panel, can you guys give us a little bit of introduction? And I've got a question here for you that I'm hoping you can kind of start things off with, because OpTech is a huge conference. There's a ton of information that's given, a huge exhibition floor, and I'm just kind of wondering. Let's remove this other. How do you guys bring the ideas and the takeaways from OpTech back to your team and clients? So do a quick intro if you could answer that question. And Whitney, we'll start with you.
Sure. Thank you, Wes. So hello, everyone that's joining us today. My name is Whitney Kidd, and I have the pleasure of serving as Senior Vice President of Innovation and Technology for Price, also founder of our innovation engine, Iris Technologies. And this is a great question because OpTech this year, I think all of us know, is jam-packed with content. So being able to bring that back in an absorbable way is very challenging. But listen, where I'm allowed, I am going to be using Shocker AI. So we have purchased our Plod AI tools that we're bringing with us. And so if we're in a meeting that is going to allow us to record, that's going to be a big part of our strategy this year. We're trying to streamline that. So Shocker, the techie, is going to use tech, but that is my strategy this year.
Awesome. Devin.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Wes. Appreciate you having me on. I'm Devin Sherliff. I call myself a professional guesser, but I serve as the CEO of Opinion here. I think OpTech is one that I love, getting in front of clients and understanding what their problems are. and then bringing that back and talking about those problems with the product team and how we can solve those problems. So it's a good opportunity for us to network. We're bringing a decent sized team out this year, and so hopefully, yeah, we can start solving more problems for the student housing industry coming away from it.
Well, you guys have made a big impact in student housing the past couple of years, and it's amazing to kind of see what you guys are doing. Erica?
Hey, Wes. Hey, all. So happy to be with you here today. I'm Erica White, Senior Vice President of Technology and Strategic Initiatives at Article Student Living. I'm really excited about OpTech, both to Devin and Whitney's point. I feel like it is just so full of such good content this year. What I've done to kind of prep myself is really get a list of my must-dos and have-tos and get some wish list items from our team, make sure that we're diving in before, so we're going into each meeting, each panel, each session really strategically. So I'm excited to bring some takeaways back and have a full download once we get back from conference, but we've got some key items that we're looking for specifically. So excited to bring it back in a digestible way. Also using AI, I feel like it's a must. I feel like that's a lot of what OpTech's going to be talking about this year on many panels. So really excited to bring the info back.
Well, great. Well, listen, you guys really kind of live at the intersection of technology and housing. And the first question I've got, just as a group is, what is one innovation or issue that you're watching closely at this year's OpTech? Who wants to go first? And I got to take this other question.
I don't mind. I think that there's something to be said that there's going to be a ton of conversation about AI. I'm really excited that we're going to be diving into a lot of the governance behind it. I don't want to steal your thunder, Whitney, by any means, but just a quick shout out to you. I know that you've been working through a lot of conversation on AI in the space. I think for me personally at Article, the thing that I'm going to be on the lookout for is really specifically looking into some additional access control. I think we've really, as an industry, bridged the gap between security as well as engagement on site. And so I'm really looking forward to exploring additional access control, really taking it beyond just physical security, but really looking at that unlocking the door, if you will, to a full connected experience. So really excited to meet with some potential partners there and learn a little bit more from some new and upcoming tech in the space. So really excited.
Yeah, totally agree. I think Erica, what you said is great. I'm very excited for the AI Town Hall. It's the last session of OpTech, so for attendees, please stay with us. I know it's tough after the end of a long conference, but it is going to be jam-packed. We're going to have legislators there. We're going to have industry peers and leaders in the tech space, and we're going to be announcing our AI governance framework from NMHC and RETTC and how our industry should move forward when it comes to AI. So I'm incredibly excited about that, but I'll tell you one that came up today in a prep call. So as many of you know, we are exploring robotics, and I'm not saying that we're all going to have robots in our community by next year, but in this prep call, one of the VC founders asked a really great question. He said, "Are you ready for the robots to be in your community, not from you, but from your residents?" And I said, "Oh, wow, that's a great point, right? Are we prepared for, Neo just launched in these home robotics applications? I have not even, honestly, and I'm in robotics, I have not thought about how do we as operators need to make sure that we're managing the risk around this. And so I'm really interested to see that. That's in a few sessions that we'll highlight, but I think we need to start thinking on the operations side as well. What does this mean for our industry, and how can we protect our residents in the process?
No, that's such a good point. I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff on that recently, and just they launched that one robot that's kind of advertised to help with all the chores, right? And I mean, I could definitely see a student that's, forget if they're just lazy and don't want to pick their underwear up off the floor. It's the ones that are, that do need some kind of assistance. Maybe they have some kind of disability or something like that, and that's a huge benefit to their life. Is that something that we need to be thinking about? Certainly in the design of housing going forward, but how to student housing, we've got some tight bed space. So, how exactly does a robot fit into that? So, Devin, Same question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's no surprise that we're paying heavy attention to AI as well, right? We're living in an age where, and I heard this one time, it stood out to me, where how fast innovation is moving right now is the slowest it's going to move in our lifetime, and moving forward, it's just going to accelerate. And so, for us, I mean, we're always looking for ways that and how the industry is looking to analyze, to augment, or become agentic in the way that things are moving. And so I think it'll be interesting to see the technology that's out there now, and also what, again, coming back to that, what clients are asking for, where they can say, hey, how do I report on this? How do I augment what I'm doing? And then how do I automate this so that I don't even have to think about it? That's what we're looking at. And who's coming, right? Who's going to be there, and what are the new products coming out? I mean, even on LinkedIn right now, you're looking at all these different companies that are coming out. Tour 24 launching a new AI product. Some of these other ones as well. So can't wait for the debut of a lot of those.
So Whitney, I want to come back. You're hitting on robotics, and you guys have Donna 2.0, and that's a humanoid robot, and it's at least showing up at the conferences with you. I don't know how great of a plane seat mate that Donna is, but it's been kind of crazy, seeing you show up with Donna and present her and some of the things that you guys are thinking about. But even before that, you've had conversations with me that, we want to figure out if it can plunge a toilet. We want to see if it can deliver packages. But to kind of go back a little bit, has there been anything from an innovation automation standpoint that has really moved the needle for Price Company? And I'm also kind of curious, was that whatever that tool or technology may be, is it something that you first saw at OpTech?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is yes to us finding this particular technology at OpTech. So we have an AI partner that's not only looking at agentic automation, but is also looking at how do you utilize large data sets to be able to really drill in and understand the principles and what needs to move the needle from an asset management perspective. So at the Price conference that we were just at last week in DC, we had a capital markets forum with our investors, and we were able to show them some of the data that we're utilizing in asset management to understand not only what's really going on in our communities and what's moving the needle in a positive or negative direction, but also what's doing that at the customer sentiment level, which I know Opinion does a great job of as well with all of their data sets. And so that's been the most exciting for us, is how can we make sure at the corporate team level, at the asset management level, that we are actually looking at what's important. They have those tours and they're at the properties, but sometimes our managers feel like they can't tell them something, or they want to be a little bit more discreet and those site visits. And so now we have used AI to be able to look not only at our property management data and our reputational data, but also at our email data, which we found over 40% of our comms were going direct through email. And so now we really understand our assets in a different way that we never have before. So I'll tell you, when we started working on AI, I didn't think asset management would be at the top of my list, but now seeing what we've been able to do, it is absolutely there for us.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And before we get off of AI, I want to bring up here in just a second the panel that you're speaking on Wednesday. But Devin, I mean, you guys introduced a lot of AI features in the past year. Being able to generate replies to things that have been posted on the Google business page or whatever review website that the properties are utilizing. But you guys are also kind of using AI to really analyze, the even before they really completely implement Opinion on their websites, to really kind of analyze what's going on currently with review websites. Is that something you guys are still really focused on?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the past, we've largely been known as kind of a review generator, right? And that's how a lot of people know what we do. We moved into this resident satisfaction kind of piece, and now we're really moving into more predictive resident intelligence, and being able to say, okay, we have data points from your reviews, we have them from your satisfaction, we have them from surveys. Now we can get them from your social media posts. We can get them from your business listings. And now even with our new acquisition with Rent Grotto, we can get it from conversational. And so our focus now is putting all of that into one centralized database, and then becoming predictive and also prescriptive based upon that feedback. And so, yeah, it's a big focus for us here. AI is a huge topic of what we're working on and what we're constantly implementing within our system.
So Whitney, I want to bring up really quick and just share my screen. This is from the agenda on the on the website, and this is on 10 o'clock on Wednesday. AI and the future of rental housing, a closing town hall. I got to tell you, I was looking at the flights back to Charlotte, and I'm taking a much later flight with a connection just so I can make sure I do not miss anything with this town hall. But you want to tell us a little bit about who's going to be a part of this and what you guys are going to, you kind of teased it a little bit, but do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So when RETTC was formed, we broke out into committees. Erica is on one of these committees as well. And I'm on the AI committee co-chairing with Minna Song from Elise AI and Brandy Daniel from BH Management. And the goal of that committee was to develop a framework around AI for our industry. So if you're not familiar with why RETTC was founded, the goal is to make sure that we're proactive in our approach and educating legislators in the Hill around how our industry is using technology, not only to make the resident experience better, but to provide more affordability and availability in housing. And what we wanted to do is make sure as this technology grows, as Devin was saying, we're at this acceleration cycle. I think it's 17x of the .com era and the way that we're innovating right now. And so if you're moving that quickly, there's bound to be areas where you feel unfamiliar. And so what we wanted to do was develop a framework of how our industry should implement AI, not only from the owner operator side, but also as suppliers, right? So as Devin is working on new technology or Erica's vetting new technology, what's a set of standards that we can all look together to as an industry to ensure that we are staying compliant, but that we're also looking at the real focus of this, which is affordability of housing and availability of housing. And so we'll go through, you have so many speakers you can see on that list. I don't even think you can get to them all. You have to scroll. We even have a property management panel. So a lot of the rock stars from the property management softwares will have a panel. We'll have an agentic AI panel. So there's a lot wrapped into this, which is really exciting, as well as our NMHC RETTC lead. So highly recommend. And if you can't make it, I totally get it. I'm on a red eye. It's unfortunate, but we're going to do it anyways. So thanks, Wes. We will have a recap on this. So happy to share the framework after that's been launched at the town hall. And then I'll also be on another panel around robotics. That's the first day on Monday. And so if you want to join us there, we'll have the robot out and about, and you can meet Donna 2.0.
Yeah, no, that's so important about having those discussions around structure and best practices. I mean, I was talking to someone earlier today, just how fast everything's changing and what's available, and can the PMSs even keep up? I truly see kind of a day where, Eric, and I actually used this actual example when I was speaking to the person I was speaking to. I said, I could see a day when Erica's like, you know what, I'm starting to invest in my own real estate. I'm just going to create my own, I'm just going to use AI and have it code out my own PMS.
Say it again. Say it again.
And Erica's the right person that could actually just scale that up, right? And so you start thinking about that, and then you start thinking about, well, how does AI know the best practices with developing something like that? And so it seems like RETTC is really the group that's trying to give that guidance. So, well, hey, I wanted to next move to you, Erica. Your role at Article really kind of bridges everything between tech and strategy, and I just want to know what OpTech sessions or topics that are around resident experience that you are excited about for this year.
Yeah, I promise this was not meant to be a plug, but I'm actually very excited about the panel that I'm speaking on Tuesday morning. We're bright and early, but I'm very excited because we are going to be hitting on resident engagement and leasing and AI specifically. And we actually had awesome opportunity. Our session is a little bit different than your normal panel session. Think book club without the wine. Still fun though. But we were able to dive in and actually have the privilege of meeting bestseller David Edelman, and his book is Personalized, and it is a book that's really about customer strategy in the age of AI. So just a phenomenal opportunity to get to learn from him and his experience, and really how to apply, some 5 core principles. I won't spoil it for you. Definitely come to the session on how you can implement that both in multifamily and student housing. So really excited. We're talking about not just having AI just automate, but really diving into what matters to our residents, what matters to our teams, and how can we tap into that and get the most use out of it while also scaling a business as well. So very, very excited about that. I'm also excited. There's a lot of future labs that I'm excited about, a lot of hands-on experience that are happening. And one that I am really excited about, especially for others to attend, is I love that there's a session for Entrata Summit. So for those that weren't able to go to Entrata Summit this year, having a spotlight and be able to see all of the fun new items that they're coming out with their unified data platform. I'm really looking forward to that and seeing some feedback there.
Well, cool. And I know we've got another student housing specific meetup that I want to talk about as we get towards the end of this. But Devin, let's go to you really quick. Actually, I want to show. Let's just make sure. I want to make sure the audience knows what's the time on Tuesday for your. Here it is, 9:15 to 10 a.m. Erica, is that correct?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, right? I should know.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I'm on it. I should also know. 9:15. Yes.
There we go.
Wake up and come to book club.
Well, it's kind of funny because when I read that, I was like, that's Erica had to have some kind of part in coming up with that, because I know you've got your own little book club
Absolutely.
that you've got as well. So Devin, Opinion calls itself a resident satisfaction platform. I've called it the feedback tech. There's a lot of talk at OpTech about connecting real-time feedback to operational action. And the question I had for you is, what are some practical ways operators can close that loop, and should the approach be modified for student residents?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. Yeah. I like that feedback tech, right? And it's actually pretty spot on, right? The whole idea behind Opinion is that feedback shouldn't just live in a dashboard. It should actually do something. And so when we talk about like closing the loop here, it really comes down to speed and visibility. And operators should be getting real-time alerts about sentiment shifts that are happening within their property, whether it's an unhappy move-in survey or a poor online review. And that system should automatically route it to the person who can fix that. And that's really kind of the first step there, is like shortening the distance between feedback and really action on the other end. And the second is learning patterns. I mean, for us, we are morphing into this more predictive, prescriptive resident intelligence platform, right? And so it's not just about reacting to these, but it's also about seeing the patterns and seeing historical patterns to see what you should change within your motion moving forward. And so, if you start spotting recurring issues like, maintenance is slow or noise complaints, and turning those into operational goals. So, and then you turn those into operational goals. And that's where like that predictive piece really comes into, is saying, look, you may have a problem here, or this is going to be a problem here. As well. So for student housing, you absolutely have to modify that approach. Students expect instant responses and communications on their term, which I think is very different than the multifamily segment that we cover as well. And the feedback window is a lot shorter there. And in my opinion, the student housing side, they'll drop a 1-star review before you even know there's a problem. And so operators need automation and really faster follow-up cycles. And so, what I would think is, immediate text, check-ins, maybe even gamified feedback, and then using a tool like Rengrata to really turn those satisfied residents into advocates for you. So closing the loop looks a little bit different by segment, but the principle is the same, that you've got to listen fast, you've got to act fast, and then, make the feedback visible to the people who can actually affect the change at the property level.
Yeah, and you brought up Rent Grata. Congrats again on that recent acquisition. Rent Grata has been very popular in student housing, and there were a lot of cheers that I heard when that news came out. So excited to see what you guys are going to be working on together. But that kind of parlays perfect into the next question I wanted to ask. You know, OpTech is all things multifamily, and student housing is just kind of one piece to that. And there used to be there was a time where I felt like, you know, student housing was way far ahead of multifamily as far as technology is concerned. I feel like there's been a little bit of a catch up. I think, you know, when it comes to marketing and resident engagement, I think student housing still certainly leads to that. But when it comes to data and you know, infrastructure around scalability, I feel like multifamily is much stronger at that. And kind of thinking of this conference as an opportunity to cross pollinate. You know, I just had that question for you. You know, how can those strengths cross pollinate? Because I think a conference like this is kind of a perfect example to, you know, where we should be talking to each other and doing that. But wanted to see if you guys had any suggestions and thoughts on how that should happen.
Yeah, I would say connect with your peers, right? Meet new people, work with your suppliers to be connected if you go to an event. I mean, we not only can conventional and student learn a lot from each other, I've learned a lot from senior housing. I've learned a lot from affordable housing, right? All of these different asset classes have very different operational demands. And, you know, whether it be student and us having to deal with turn and those large volumes, they learn from us. How do we do that? I also learned from affordable housing around how do you secure a building, right? How do you do things differently where the stakes are just a bit higher? And so this is such a great event to do that, because not only are you getting to see some new capital come into the space, the VCs that are going to weigh in and some of the people you don't normally interact with, but you're also going to be able to see all of your peers from different asset classes. So there's obviously the leader meetup groups. Erica is leading the student one. People can come even if you're not in student housing. Same thing for the other meetup groups that we're going to have at OpTech this year. But I would just encourage everyone, you know, connect with as many people as you can. And especially if you have a specific question, you know, we're going to have dinner with an affordable housing person that we're working with and learn more from them. I think this is just the perfect breeding ground to really connect and learn from one another. And then even outside of OpTech, right? How do we look at other industries? I think that's important for multifamily as a whole to keep in mind, is that it does not just have to be a multi-specific application. You can go and look at industrial and other industries to get ideas of what they're doing to be able to advance our space forward.
Fully agree. Everything that Whitney just said. I feel like we do that with brands that we love. Like if we love, I always have to shout them out. Chick-fil-A, we love their service. We love the food. We love like that feeling you get when you feel like you've got a great experience. We take that to our friends in the space as well. I think that students done a really great job when it comes to being kind of the testing ground of resident engagement. We're sometimes quick to pivot. We have high volume and at real cyclical times. So sometimes our data is a little bit structured, but I feel like Multi does a really great job on that scalability and being able to standardize it. I think they can cross-pollinate in, you know, learning from each other, getting in the rooms, talking about it. What are those problems solved for, whether it's outside of the space or, to Whitney's point, you know, getting in there, learning how to secure a building from affordability. That's been something that we've learned as well. Huge. So I'm really excited to just get connected. There's a lot of opportunities to connect. I feel like I'm excited for the expo space and just being able to see who's all exhibiting and getting in a room there as well and getting some ideas.
Devin, any thoughts on that cross-pollination? I mean, you're working with, you know, with leaders on both, you know, kind of both sides. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, these two clearly have been around the block, know what they're talking about. You know, and so to add to that, I mean, the way that I would kind of keep this short, I guess, is I feel like on our end, student housing is always much more acceptable to, or they're much more accepting of like brand new technology. They want to test things, you know, and pivot early. I think Whitney said that already. And so, you know, for us, I mean, but what I think student housing is really good at is creating communities that actually like feel alive. And multifamily, on the other hand, they've mastered the scale, the process, and like infrastructure. And so, what I think is, you know, is important is bringing those kind of two together. And student operators can borrow from the multifamily side on the data. They can build stronger systems, and not just to capture engagement, but measure impact, on renewals and satisfaction, retention. And I think the multifamily side, they can learn from the student housing ability to create culture. And so on that side, I think where the student side is a much more cultural experience, and they can make that experience a lot more emotional. I think that's one side that the multifamily side, not all the operators have subscribed to that. So yeah, I think merging kind of those two different playbooks, one on the data side and on stronger systems, and one on the cultural side, I think is a way that they can cross-pollinate together.
Great. So little known secret, I attended not only the first student housing conference that NMHC ever did 20 some years ago. I also attended the very first OpTech.
What a flex.
I think it was even longer. My oldest daughter turned 20 this year. yesterday, Erica, yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think OpTech is, I think this may be like 25 years or so. It was in Atlanta, if I remember correctly. It has absolutely exploded. I think we've got I was looking at the attendee list the other day. There's well over 2,000 attendees. That was probably a week or so ago. And then just so many vendors. And so wanted to ask you guys this question and maybe help other folks that this is their first time. What's your personal strategy for navigating a conference as packed as OpTech? Are you a planner or a serendipity networker?
Ooh. Well, I'll take this one, I guess, first. I would say that I'm a mix of both. I'm incredibly calendar driven, so we try to book, as many meetings as we can, and dinners, lunches, and everything like that. If you're a client out there and we don't have a dinner on the books, happy to do that. But I think what's great about it is, you add all the sessions you want to see to, you want to see where the industry's heading from that, where the speakers are at. But I've learned that the best conversations usually happen by accident, like, in the hallway waiting for food, or sitting down next to someone random at lunch. And so I make sure that the schedule doesn't box me in, right? OpTech's full of too many smart people, right? And new ideas to really treat it just like a checklist. And so, yeah, my strategy is simple. Is just to be intentional about the people I need to meet with and want to meet with, but be open enough to stumble into the ones that I didn't know that I needed to meet with, and I didn't know that I needed to get to know. I think that's exactly how I met Whitney. At one point, I was just at the Win, just as well, and that was an awesome conversation. Blew my mind with the robotic stuff that she's coming out with, and so it's a perfect example of just being open to having conversations with everybody while you're there.
That's a smart approach, and I wish I was as intelligent as you are. So Erica, I was telling her today, I was like, how do I not have 14 meetings a day at OpTech? And she's like, well, you just have to make the space. I'm probably going to take her thunder here, but I am very methodical in this OpTech this year because there is so much to do and see. And so I am very calendar driven, but I will say you're absolutely right. The best connections truly happen organically at these conferences. And so while I may not have any time during the day, I think I'm double lunch, double breakfast, double dinner. I am going to try my best to stay out after hours and get to know some folks. And then if a meeting does happen to cancel, be able to use that time too. But just given everything that's there and the team that we have attending this year from Price and Iris, we're booked. This is a busy year.
Same. I was thinking at this earlier because Whitney and I were talking about this, and it was just funny because we were like, this one feels just super. I keep saying it. I'm excited. There's a lot going on, but there's a lot to learn. So how I approach this one specifically is I calendar blocked. Like I put in obviously my panel arrangements and the leadership session that I'm leading to get that knocked out. But then I looked at the other panels that I want to attend and learn from. Go ahead and put those on my calendar. I do book meetings with those that I'm looking to, do business with or learn a little bit more from. I want that one-on-one time to be able to ask questions, really be intentional. And then I always, without a shadow of a doubt, I always book time on my calendar to be able to go into the exhibit hall. I have learned and just have met number one, great friends that I've, worked with and been able to partner with in the past, but scheduling that time is always super important to me because I feel like I get to see a lot of our current partners that we see. We get to see those that we're, wanting to chat with and learn more from. So I always make sure to just schedule those all the time. And then to their point, those space in between, I'm around. I want to chat. Find me for a drink or, in the hallway for a coffee. I'm excited to just connect and see there's just such a wealth of knowledge there. So just being able to be present, be intentional with the time is important to me.
Well, fantastic. Well, again, and both of you guys are planners for sure. And I asked Devin if he could be a part of this last week, and he was able to accommodate, move some things around. But working with Erica and Whitney to try to, because there was some confusion when I first reached out. I was wanting to just record for a podcast, and you guys thought I was talking about recording at OpTech, and which I know I know better than to try to do that. And so once we got that miscommunication worked out, it was Whitney was headed off to DC. So we're like, hey, let's just do a live stream and let's just knock it out. And then that way we can get this out to everybody a week or so in advance, and they've got time to listen to it. One thing I want to bring up and pull up here to the stage, Erica, you are working with or leading this up with Peter Lynch, Chief People Officer at Cardinal Group. But we've got a student housing leaders meetup that's on Tuesday morning at 10:15. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is after book club. So go to book club first for sure. And then come hang out with Peter and I. We're really excited. We're just going to be providing a space for anyone who's interested in student housing. They want to connect. You are in student housing, whether you're a supplier of student or an operator. We just wanted to create a space that we could all meet up and just have a conversation, network, exchange ideas. So really looking forward to it. It's really just a moment to take a breath in between sessions and just come chat and hang out. So really, really looking forward to that one. Peter's awesome. He's incredible. He brings the energy every time. So really, really looking forward to get to catch up with him as well.
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there, as well as all the other student housing folks as well, even though we're just together a few weeks ago in Scottsdale. It feels like that was literally last week, but I'm excited to see everybody, and wanted to also remind everybody we've got Shop Talk. Shop Talk is our monthly webinar for the student housing industry. We talk about all things student housing operations. We've got a great webinar that's scheduled for this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So make sure that you join in on that. If you're not a part of that, we typically do it the second Thursday of each month. We will not be doing it in December. So this will be the last one for 2025. December, we've got LeaseCon, TurnCon happening in Charlotte. We've got our Shop Talk Executive Summit that's happening right after that. And it's too much in a month where we've got Christmas parties and everything else going on. So make sure that you join in for this one and find out how pre-leasing is going across the country. Everything started off in the fall at the 1st of October, and everybody's in high gear now. So looking forward to hearing what everyone is experiencing. And guys, again, thank you so much, and we'll see you in Vegas.
Thanks, Wes.
Thank you, Wes. See you all.